Mm-hmm. I think I'm
You're
live.
live.
Yes, I think I'm live. Uh-oh. Let me check that. Yes, I see people here. Hi. Good morning. Good morning is for myself. I'm sorry. Okay. Hi, Mr. O. Junior. And greeting from Canada. Gary say that. I don't decide to put. I never received a confirmation email about the Kicker Star. And post to my Twitter and send the email. Yes. I know that. Yeah, I heard the news that they will send the email today. So when I finish the live, I will confirm with the other college to confirm. Yeah, to make sure that the email that will they send about the kicker stuff. Because for the breaker that they join, for the CR6 and the CR6 mass, yes, they will receive email today that they might be have one more chance to get the printer. It's going to be the Ender 6 Plus and got the Ender 3 Pro. Good morning. Okay, good morning. Where's Adela? Adela, she need to take a break because yesterday she didn't feel good for the assemble. So for today, just only me here, and I invite 3 person to come to share their 3D printing experience. Then before we start, I want to make sure that my audience, everything is good. Hey, hey, yes. Hi. Okay, it's bright. I will see your message and I will reply to you later when I finish the live. I'm so sorry. Just sometimes I read the message and I forgot. I'm so sorry. And good morning. Yeah, evening, everyone. Nice. Yes. Oh, video sounds good. Okay, so maybe we can start when someone confirmed to me. Thank you so much. And for today, we invite 3 guys, and maybe they can do some a little bit introduction because it's look like I have a little bit next up for the person because it also we make up each other for the first time. The first one is board, sport, and John,
Hey,
and
I'm
we
back.
have yes. Hey, how's going on?
Going well.
It's everyone's evening time, right?
Yeah, my power
Yeah.
cut.
Oh yeah.
How can I say that? From John is from US.
Yes.
No, this John and this
Roast
John.
John.
How can I say that? How can I put
Yeah, we
that?
need some way to distinguish between the Johns.
Okay. Okay. No, how can I pick it? No, nice.
Call me
This
JC.
one. Okay. And Bro is from Canada?
Me?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm from Canada.
Okay, you're from Canada, and John Foss and John also both from US, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are in the same time zone.
Oh yeah,
Me.
he's just a couple hours from me, I think.
I'm on Atlantic time. It's 11:10 p.m. here.
Yeah, you're 2 hours ahead of us.
I thought you were. You're in Chicago, though, right, John?
Yeah, well, I'm in the suburbs, but yeah, same thing.
Yeah. I'm from Chicago, and I'm 2 hours south. Illinois means Chicago to many people.
I'm
Yeah,
back.
definitely. I mean, I'm 14 miles, so
I'm
Yeah,
back.
pretty much the city.
Hey,
First, well, like second or third suburb, basically.
Right.
So three of you also the first time to meet together, right? For the
Of course,
camera.
yeah.
Yeah. Aside from Facebook.
Yeah, but most of the time, three of you chatting in our
I've been
Facebook.
friends with this guy for a while, but I've never actually spoke to him before. And John Fox and I, this is our first time meeting.
Okay, nice. Okay. Yes, maybe. Yeah, we have a free talk here. So.
Yeah, I mean, I just know guys from the Facebook pages, and they both do really interesting stuff and seem to know what they're doing. So.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I go that far, but okay.
Better than me. I'm just still guessing along a lot. But yeah, no, that's how I met these guys. They caught my attention on the groups. They always had cool things going on. So
Thanks.
Yeah, that's a huge compliment. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. What was that you put?
Bed Springs, I saw.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm fiddling around with my pictures. There. Oh,
Ah.
you want to do that? There we go. But yeah, so I can bring up pictures here later. I'm just queuing them up here.
Okay. Yeah, maybe we can have a talk first.
Sure.
And yeah, I found John have a couple of printer at the back. Oh, you have the AnyCube, the back one.
Yeah, he's got. I seen an NV Cubic Delta. He's got two G-Techs. It looks like. I saw Lulzbot behind him.
But I want to see any Creality printer over there.
I have an ender. He's over here though. You can't see him. He's my first one, so he's just been going.
It's a Creality channel.
Yeah. I'm gonna get a resin, Creality resin. I think.
Yeah. Okay. I know your story. I know that.
Yeah, I like the resin. So.
Yeah. We will help you. Me and Tina will help you. Yeah. Yeah. No problem. But all other printers, so it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I got quite a few.
Yeah, and I just see the chat and say someone got our Ender 5 just in. Oh, that's you?
Yeah, that's it right there beside me.
Okay, and then we just set it up.
Yeah, I tried. It was my first live stream this afternoon. I tried to show everybody as I set it up. It turned out horribly. You guys make it look very easy. I'm not nearly as photogenic as you guys are, but it's a great little build. I was very impressed. There's nothing to putting it together, and it came in square as you can imagine. And I haven't got it printing yet, but I have. It looks really good. I'm going to enjoy it. There's a box in the background.
Oh, okay, yeah, I see that. Yeah. Okay, so how long you spend to
Putting it together?
Yeah.
I think the stream ended at 2 hours and 5 minutes, and I was taking my time. I moved to one of the pins on the fan, and I was really inspecting a lot of stuff as I went through this stuff and talked with the Allen keys and stuff. It was a lot of nice little details. Everybody provides Allen keys, but not everybody provides ball nose Allen keys, and there's a difference to that.
Yeah, and I think you might did not watch our live yesterday. Adela in another college, she tried to put our Ender 6. Do you know the Ender 6?
Yeah.
The call SY, the blue one. But she spent 1.5 an hour, but did not finish.
Well, technically, I didn't get it up and running yet, but the whole thing is assembled and wired. And what do they say? It's the last 10% takes up 90% of the time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And I asked, how many screws for that printer to assemble? The engineer say it's not that much, 38. And I say, how about the CR6? She say just only 8. So
That's
then I
big.
said,
That's big.
yeah, that's the reason why I cannot put that together.
You know what? I think you guys have really done a good job coming up with a design. It's effective, but it was like the top was assembled, the bottom was assembled, and there was 4 pieces to go in. You just have to make sure everything's all lined up. And I had the benefit of James Tung. Shout out to James Tung. He was giving me some advice on the assembly. Make sure this is square. Make sure your y-axis is done this way. So I had the advantage of a little bit of help on the chat, but like I said, it was an easy peasy build.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Are you planning any modifications for it yet?
Oh, please. Where do I start? I want to get some baselines out of it and see how she does. But you don't leave these things as they come. Come on, you print like filament guides. Although I don't know where you put a filament guide on this thing. But there's a bracket that goes under the bed. I've got the Raspberry Pi all charged up and ready to go. And come on, am I gonna modify it? Come on, who doesn't modify their renders? That's what they're for.
That's true. That's true. Speaking of filament guides, my filament guide these days is a piece of Bowden tube because I have no room up here for anything like that. My top rail is cluttered. I don't know I can't really zoom in on it right now, but I got a picture of it somewhere in here. But there's the reel, and then there's an extruder and a stepper, and another extruder, another stepper tucked under that reel, and then obviously the final reel right there. So yeah, things are a little tight on that top rail.
It's hard to see. Are those BMGs? Is that what you put on there?
Yeah, exactly. Those are BMGs.
Probably need to add another rail. That's the answer.
Yeah, what? I'm sorry?
You need to add another rail.
Oh, right. But yeah, I've got a BMG.
Like those airplanes, the old school airplanes.
Yeah, the biplanes, yeah. And then the triplanes and the...
I've seen some that have like 10.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a little guy like that. Let me see if I can get the center of the camera. Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
BMG clone. Yeah,
so cheap and so effective, man.
Yeah, nothing beats those as far as pushing. I mean, the stock extruder on the Creality ships works great, but if you want to really push that filament in there, I like to upgrade my extruders personally. I mean, I can, I put on like 300 millimeters per second sometimes. I mean, and yeah, the stock extruder really doesn't quite have the pushing power to keep up with that.
Now, you got to hand it to the stock hot end.
What's that?
I'm sorry, right?
I was going to say, the stock hot end, the Mark 8's got to be one of the best on the market.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you just want to go ahead and print it, like everybody else at 60 millimeters per second, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it at all. But if you want to start pushing the limits, yeah, you got to start upgrading. But that's one of the great things about the Creality printers is, I mean, you get basically everything you need to print out of the box, and then if you want to upgrade any piece of it, you can. I mean, you get a great printer in the box, and you still, it's no big deal to add on to it. I mean, a lot of printers, you could get, they're really nice out of the box, but when it comes to modifying them, there's nothing you can do. They're all proprietary, or they've got some other issues where you just can't add on to them, or it's a real pain to do so.
Like the people compare the Ender 3 and the A10, and the A10's a great printer, but it's got this extension board that's like like the hot end plugged into it. And I've tried to trace the wiring back, and it's a nightmare. It's just not possible. No.
Yeah. Good luck on that.
Weird stuff with negative and stuff. It's really weird.
Oh yeah, there's common rails, and anyways, yeah, no.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's a good machine for modifications. If you guys want to talk more about yours, or I can talk about mine. But I've been really having fun with this one.
Yeah, no, I never got to hear. I think everything went kind of crazy at the moment. How is Marlon with that in the 2 extruders? Is it actually?
Right, we were just about to talk. We were just about to talk, and then everything went south.
Just about to
basically, I've looked around. I mean, compiling Marlin is not too scary for me, but
you use Clipper too, so it's different.
Right, yeah. For the SKR though, it was going to require that I install Platform IO to get Marlin 2.0, and basically, and there was another whole new release of Marlin I hadn't actually played a whole lot with, really at all. So Clipper I was plenty familiar with, and it didn't really require anything other than just flashing the board and adding the options for the stepper driver and a few other things. Changing the pins, of course, but I cheat and copy other people's examples for that. So
Totally.
you weld a few different configurations. Is that me? That's not me.
Elephant. Somebody's got an elephant nearby. That sounds. Hang on, we got a question in the group. Jay Phillips says, any suggestions on putting together a CR10 Mini?
I don't know. Any printer I would put together, just take your time. I mean, I haven't put one of those together, but the more you spend, the better it works in the end. I mean, people say, I put mine together in 2 hours. Yeah, that's great, but I spent, I don't want to, I feel bad saying how long I spent on mine. It was hours and hours and hours, but it prints great.
Yeah, exactly. Check all.
I would say make sure everything is square. Everything's 90 degrees.
Absolutely.
That's the biggest thing.
And there's no play. You got to make sure there's no play in anything. If something is loose at all anywhere, it's got to be tightened up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tighter screws, right?
Yeah, exactly. Assume that everybody involved did not do their job.
Yes.
But you can go too far on your rollers in a few places, but mostly, you got to get those things tight.
Yeah, it takes a little, you can describe to somebody how an eccentric nut works, or you can let them kind of figure it out for themselves.
It's easier just to figure it out myself. People were like, this eccentric nut, and I'm like, what? I just went.
Everybody's got different understandings, right? But
it's obvious when you get there.
Sometimes a picture helps a little bit. Not always. Yeah, no, that's interesting. So Clipper's handling all your processing. I totally forgot that you.
Yeah, absolutely, because it was much easier to get than going through a million mile.
Exactly
I had most of it done. I had most of it done in Clipper, so I mean, I just had to add the stepper drivers and SKR. Yeah, but it was simple. I can't say it's simple compared to Marlin 2 because I haven't done Marlin 2, but it seemed like it was going to be a lot simpler.
The one mod I did to my unders, I made it direct drive. This was my first printer, so I got bored with both. So I'm like, I'm going to direct drive. But
now, did you 3D print the direct drive, or did you get a kit?
I bought a kit, and I used the carriage plate for that because it was really nice and machined aluminum. But I pretty much Frankenstein the rest. I bought the wrong BMT, and back then I was cheap, so I'm not going to buy another one. I can just flip these files and flip this. Yeah, it was a lot harder than that, of course. Things don't line up exactly right when you do that. But I did manage. It's solid. There's a little bit of cable ties, but it's solid.
Did you ever get your temperature issues? Hey, John, did you ever get your temperature issues squared away on that? I know you were fighting, going through thermistors after thermistor on that thing.
Yeah, it seems to be about 3 to 4 lower than it shows on the screen, pretty much. That's what I've gone with, and it seems to be pretty solid.
Well, that's good.
I do have it's not an SKR board. What was the other cool one?
MKS?
Yeah, MKS.
Yeah, so the MKS Gen L. And I can throw that in there. That might answer whether it might be the wiring too. I'm going to put, I got the original hot end. I bought a whole new kit. I'm going to put that on there and kind of put it back to stock and just kind of start fresh.
If you need hit me up later if you need a stock square board. I obviously have one after doing this upgrade.
All right, cool. Yeah, this one shows funky. But like I said, I have that MKS, so I might as well just move to that. Then I can put like 2208s or something quieter on it.
Yep.
Yeah, I put 2209s in this thing because I really knew nothing about stepper drivers, and everybody said, well, 2209s have the best of both worlds.
Yep, they got the higher amperage rating, and yep.
I mean, except for I don't know. There's some crazy drivers you can get to handle 20 amps, but I didn't need that.
But yeah, they're definitely more powerful for sure.
Yeah, I just turned my currents down a little bit. Actually, they're running real hot. But
I'm not a fan of the whole sensorless homing thing. I can see the appeal, but the notion of crashing my printer.
I didn't do that.
Somebody said, well, what can I do? Sensorless homing on Z? I'm like, well, you could.
Yeah, I thought it. I thought, but I just said that's what my end stops are for. I mean, why mess with what works?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
I agree.
do you guys move your end stop, Z end stop to the top or the bottom?
Let me show you.
Leave it
Let me
down.
show you where my end stop is real quick. Okay, I'll pull this up here.
But you have some deltas, of course, there at the top. Technically.
Yeah, I just, for the power loss recovery, it makes more sense for me to always home to the top so that you're not smashing into the print by accident.
Gotcha, because the heat will change a little bit. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Makes sense.
That is my end stop. You can see it hanging off the modified shroud there.
Heavily modified shroud.
Yeah. That's actually functions as my AVL probe.
Okay.
So
Micro switch. Interesting.
let me zoom in on that a little bit more.
The micro switch has the best accuracy and repeatability of the sensors, but it's mounting it and dismounting it for the probing sequence that really introduces the inaccuracy.
I hear what you're saying, and I hadn't really noticed that previously, except when I went to this shroud, because this shroud actually has, it's not well, like with the bullseye, it hooks around. You get it bolted on one side and it hooks around the other side, and you get a real solid mount. But this one only mounts on the two stock mount point screws where the original shroud would mount, and so that whole right hand side just wiggles. And yeah, there is a little bit.
There was
I'll agree with you there. If you use the right shroud or the right mount point, you can mitigate a lot of that. But right now, yeah, there is some of that coming into play. I'll admit that.
I'm going to kick a hornet's nest here because I had a great debate. Oh, must have been a year ago, where I took the right carriage, the unpowered carriage, off the Ender 3 entirely, just gone. And I saw no ringing effects. I saw no problems, right? And I was printing at a pretty good clip. I was printing at like 80, 90 millimeters a second. But, sorry?
I'm confused where your hot end went if you got rid of the carriage.
So Ender 3, right? You've got the powered side and the unpowered side. Just get rid of the unpowered side. Because if it's not perfectly aligned, there's an opportunity for binding and stick slip and all sorts of stuff.
And took that whole plate with the rollers off and just let the bar fly.
I put an accelerometer breakout board on the end of it, and I did test, like, because you're never really moving back and forth when it's going up or down, right? So there's just enough settling time for the beam to calm down. Now, it was a huge debate. There was I'm not going to name any names, but there was a lot of kerfuffle on Facebook. I'll put it that way.
But if you have the tools to prove it, I mean, what's the argument?
Exactly. I actually bought what's it called? Adafruit is the little circular thing. Circuit Works? No. I can't remember. Hang on. John's been frozen in time.
I know the device you're talking about. It's got like an 8 tiny right in the middle or something like that, or
yeah, but it's got capacitive sensors. It's got like barometric and temperature and tilt and motion, and it's a great little kit. I can't remember the name of it though. Anyways, long story short is I actually got some empirical evidence and I ran with it I even forgot that it was off for like 6 or 8 months. I forgot to put the carriage back on. It didn't affect my prints at all.
Interesting. I hadn't really considered that. I mean, I like to think mine works well because I measure it every so often and it has a consistent.
Yeah. I'm a bit of a stir the pot kind of guy. I went out there, like, I've got a video on YouTube of the Ender 3 going back at like 800 millimeters per second in stealth chop, and it didn't lose a step.
Wow, I'm gonna have to try that because I like to print fast, but I don't print at 800.
Well, I haven't confirmed it with frame by frame. The commanded speed was like 1200, but I know it wasn't doing that. There's no way it was doing that. But it's one of my favorite. I don't have many videos on YouTube, but that one's one of my favorites.
I saw your video about the fake boards. That was quite the.
We're not going to talk about that. I'm not going to. I don't want to upset anybody. You know, I bit off more than I could chew, apparently.
I enjoyed it. I enjoy it.
Hang on, who is it? John? Is it John Cobb? Who's got the problems with the stringing and the prints lifting? I've been keeping an eye on the chat. I don't know what you guys are doing. I've been keeping an eye on the chat.
Well,
He's printing PLA. He's having stringing and lifting problems. Somebody already recommended a temperature tower, and I strongly support the idea. If there's one thing you can teach anybody that's coming into the hobby is like, even if you buy 2 spools of the same color from the same manufacturer at the same time, you cannot assume that their ideal print temperature is the same.
Exactly. Yep. It's hard for them to understand, though.
Yeah, some lessons I got to learn the hard way. Like, how do I level my bed?
That's how I did, actually. I was kind of resistant at first.
use your Z-stop to level your bed. That's all I got.
Well, I got the Ender 5 Pro, and I was really waffling on whether to go with the Pro or the other model. And there's just some really interesting, like it comes with the yellow bed springs, but they are 100% compressed out of the box. And it was just little things like that that made me, because I would never compress a spring and leave it like that, but they are very rigid springs. But like I said, I haven't run it yet. I'm just admiring it at the moment. I'm going to try to finish the live stream tomorrow. I made some promises to people that I'd do it online, and even though I'm a terrible streamer, I wanted to finish it online. So
I kind of went. I did away with my yellow springs actually. Did something a little more. Let's see, is this the right one? Yeah, there we go. I mean, you can see the yellow springs there, but they're not doing anything but holding that the nut on the bottom that actually provides the actual level.
The preload. That's the point.
Resistance or whatever.
Yeah, the spring just holds the nut in place while I adjust the adjust the nut
It's
and
coilover.
tighten
You've
it.
got a coilover for your a coilover, like for cars.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know if you can quite see on top there, I've got another nut and a washer.
Oh, big fat washer. I missed the washer.
Yeah, you can hardly see it. There's a fender washer and a nut against that holding the bolt straight down from the pulling the screw straight down from the plate. So then it sits right there and is held in place by the mounting wheel. Actually, I can kind of point at it, can I?
It's not really intuitive.
But that's I got rid of the springs just because I was tired of fiddling with it all the time. One thing I would mention is if you do that, I had to do that, and I have read other people do this as well, that you actually have to drill out the plate there where the Y plate. You have to drill that out because the holes don't actually line up quite right. They pull in the springs, and the fact that those bolts are not mounted fixed to the plate above allow them to
they just spin in a countersink.
allow them to self-adjust and pull into those holes that don't actually quite line up. So if you go for a fixed bed, you can go for a fixed bed if you let the screws still, if you don't affix them to the plate, you can get away with it still. But if you affix everything solid, you're going to have to drill out that piece by about probably 2 or 3 millimeters on each hole. Yeah.
Wow.
And Luke over at the 3D printer group mentioned something like that too when I was posting about my fixed bed. He's like, yeah, you got to drill that out. So yeah, I don't use the yellow springs except as nut holders anymore.
What else do you guys use as first modifications? I always say a Sunon fan on your hot end makes a massive difference.
I agree. I think hot end cooling is a little overlooked on them. I think that happens more than people know.
Are you talking? You're talking the upper cooler, right? Not the parts cooler, right?
Not the part cooler.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I have that crazy shroud on there is because the stock shroud, it sits off to the side a little bit. It doesn't
bounces it off, right?
It doesn't focus the air, and I was getting. Well, I have an all metal throat in there. That's one of the modifications you can't see. I have an all metal throat, and when I replaced the stock throat with that all metal throat, I was getting nonstop. Well, I won't say nonstop jams, but anytime I actually printed slowly, strange thing was I could print fast all day long. If I slowed down, I would get jams real bad.
Yeah.
Like, repeated retraction at slow
Exactly.
speed would cause
I
jams.
think that was my problem. I was slowing down to try and fix a problem.
And
it was getting
what I
worse.
eventually did was I put that shroud on there that focuses the air a lot more. And I read some hot end assembly instructions for some other all metals, and like the V6, the E3 V6, you need thermal grease, and I didn't see anywhere recommendation for on an ender, but I decided what the hey,
Yeah.
well, I could feel a little play in there, just a tiny bit, but I could rattle the throat ever so slightly. I'm like, there's got to be enough room there for some grease, and I put some on, put that shroud on, and it hasn't jammed since.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah, you get a lot of heat creep with when you slow way down. Like some people think you can, if you slow down to like 5 or 10 millimeters per second, you get more detail.
That's
The thing
dangerous.
is that filament is absorbing heat as it comes out, and it carries it out of the nozzle. And like the same thing, the opposite happens with people who throw like a 0.8 millimeter nozzle on there and think they can do like 200 millimeters a second. The opposite, because it's pulling out more energy with it, with melted filament, you actually, without something like a volcano or a super volcano, you need to slow down when you're printing with a larger nozzle.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just, it's thermodynamics. It's heat transfer. It's
exactly.
It's like boiling water. It takes forever, but then once it's hot, it stays hot.
Exactly.
Who's this one?
Hello from Brazil. Hello from Canada. Sorry, I like this chat on the side. This is awesome. It's not just the four of us. We've got a peanut gallery off to the side here.
Yeah, I should have busted out the computer and had it over here so I could read them. But yeah, I think you're exactly right, John. That hot end stifles the flow through when it blows right into that back carriage plate. It doesn't properly divert out the sides. It goes down a lot, I think, too.
Exactly. It's you lose a lot because it's not focused in there.
And like
it just goes wherever it can, and you have no control. Yeah.
And now the layer fan.
And part of my heat problem, maybe the whole hot end. I don't know. Well, that was actually whatever. I don't know.
So
we'll see. I'm about to take it apart and put it back together. So
yeah,
it needs a refresh. It needs a fresh start.
Well, one of the we touched a little bit on this when we were talking about Clipper, but I don't know if we mentioned this completely. But yeah, the most lengthy mod and difficult one that I've been doing is this. Although I've almost got it, is the dual color. I don't know if people have been noticing it back there. And it's got, we talked about the extruders on the top rail, but basically I've added an extra extruder by adding a different board, because obviously the Ender 3 board won't do that for you. And extra extruder, extra stepper to go along with that. And what ties it all together, well, one piece that ties it all together, let me pull this up, is this little adapter that lets you feed two filaments together.
Oh, it's the Y adapter, the Y bone adapter.
This thing here.
Yeah.
You'll pardon the terrible quality of this print. I was just in a big rush to get it done. That's actually a design I made myself. If you can see, let me get my finger up there. If you can see, there's a little slot right down the middle.
Yeah.
And that's because, unlike most of these Y adapters, your typical ones in Thingiverse will have the filament come in the top and into a, I can't remember the name of it. It's a standard Bowden fitting that fits on your extruder typically, where the tube does not pass through, just the filament. So typically there's only filament inside this Y adapter, not Bowden tubing. And then you have to hope that when it comes out the bottom, that it doesn't catch on the lip of your other Bowden connector or something else. This one's a little bit differently in that it uses the pass-through Bowden connectors, and the cutting that's split in the middle there is a cutting guide. So you insert your tube into the Y, put your razor in that slot,
and then you chamfer the end of the tube.
Withdraw, put your other tube in, chop it, and then you can put them side by side, and they match up perfectly.
Nice.
And you have full Bowden tubing all the way through. so you don't have any snags inside that adapter.
Impressive.
My biggest problem, unfortunately, is once they pass through the adapter into the hot end, my all-metal throat has very low tolerance as far as filament diameter. It's 1.79 or more or something. I mean, it's hardly bigger than the filament. And so if the tip of that filament isn't perfect, it often snags up on the end of that metal throat. And unfortunately, after a few retractions and insertions from when you change color, the end of that filament can get deformed and then have problems going back into that metal throat. So
now, does that edge of the throat have like a 90-degree, and that's where the filament goes in?
It has actually a little cup where you insert the Bowden tubing, but yes, it's pretty much. I would call it, if it's not 90, it's 80. I mean, it's pretty sharp.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if you could put a chamfer. It wouldn't ruin the throat to put a chamfer on the entry to that throat, right? So you can, whether you use a chamfer tool or an edge breaker.
That is something I've considered and probably will try. I'm just hoping that does it, because it does seem, again, that the throat has a very, very low tolerance as far as.
That's good. It's tight machining tolerance, right? That's a good thing in every situation.
I would love that, but yeah, it's kind of shooting myself in the foot right now.
Yeah. You're braver soul than I with the multi extrusion. I've had a Kraken on my desk for like 2 years that I just haven't really had the guts to put together onto a machine.
It's interesting that you mentioned 2 years, because something I've been thinking about for a while also. But I think in March they came out with Cura 4.5, and Cura 4.5 is the first Cura that would support natively 2 extruders with 1 heater.
Like a mixing hot end.
Yeah. So right now I don't know if you can. Right now, what happens is you load the filament in, and they sit up there on the Y, and then one comes out, does its thing, pulls back during the change. The other one comes out, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Don't want this to happen, but if your decode is right, that doesn't happen. Anyway, the Cura 4.5 and later supports that out of the box, so it's actually not too bad. The biggest headache is actually getting used to double the settings, because when you add that extra extruder in there, you have a tab, and it contains all the settings that Cura had. And is that a pain to remember to set all of those things the same? Because mostly you do. I mean, if you want different.
Hey, did you try right-clicking? There's an option to change all settings to match.
Is there?
Yeah, right-click in one of those fields.
I'm one of those people on the dwindling bandwagon of Simplify 3D. I love it. I would buy it again.
I've had about a day worth of experience with it, but I do appreciate that tip, because it's been bugging me. I haven't played around with multiple extruders. I don't have one of those machines. I know you do, John.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a year to find it. Don't feel bad.
It's one of those. It's like
yeah, totally one of those. What am I right click? There's an option. I think there's an option to change all of like this particular, right? Say it's like extraction amount, or change all extruders to match all sets.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna save some time.
Yeah, I just found it like a month ago.
I'm gonna have to hit you up later about how to align the models too, because I've just been kind of doing it by hand. I know that.
Yeah, I just do it by hand, and then
you know what you can do.
First layer and kind of look at it. Did I do it right? That's all I've got so far. It's kind of manual. It sucks.
Are you guys familiar with NetFab Basic?
No,
I'm not.
It's okay. NetFab Basic is an awesome tool because it does 2 things that are super useful. One, you can open an STL and move it around in its own coordinate system. So you can take an STL that's flipped on its side and realign it and move it over to 0. And then if you have 2 parts that are on different coordinate systems, you can align them in NetFab so that when you load them in Cura or Simplify or whatever, they pop in aligned, right? You don't have to.
Zeros are the same.
Yeah, I had thought that I had achieved that, because I actually designed.
That's what I mean.
I designed my test model in Blender, and it was just basically a block that has some letters, inset test. And, one model was the block, the other was the letters. I actually selected them, set the same origins and everything in Blender. Said, you guys have the same origin point. I set them, aligned them exactly, exported them, and they showed up in different spots in Cura.
Okay, there's a setting in Simplify 3D whether to keep or ditch the original coordinate system. I don't know about Cura. Blender is like a black magic to me, like here be dragons. I don't go near Blender. But the other thing, I want to go back to this on NetFab Basic because this is something a lot of people look for, is it has a measurement mode where you can take an STL and extract radius. You can extract like distance between planes and a point or between lines. And so you can take a design that you like online, but you need some modification and get the information that you need out of it to not duplicate, mimic the design. We'll put it that way. We're not copying anybody's design. It's iterative mimicry.
I know how to take those measurements in Blender, but it doesn't sound that painless.
Oh no, NetFab Basic. It's almost like a Windows 3.1 kind of interface. Like it's. Now I'm dating myself when I say that. But it's. It's worth in like figuring out. It can also heal. It has an auto heal for STLs. It'll find like what do they call them? Non-manifold edges, right? It'll find flip vertices, and you don't have to go through and pick them. It just auto heal, and it does. It's awesome. There's been like one part. You guys remember that Easter egg series? The 9 little different Easter eggs. Those are my favorite for a long time. But anyways, there's this one that had like these weird manifold. I couldn't fix it until I discovered that feature in NetFab. And I love Autodesk stuff, and I was a student for a very long time. And Autodesk gives you all the licenses for free when you're a student. So I'm used to their stuff in NetFab Basic. I use NetFab, and going back to Basic after I wasn't a student anymore was a bit of a switch, but it's definitely a resource that everybody who runs a 3D printer should be familiar with.
Yeah, my problem is just keeping track of all the tools they have to offer because there's NetFab.
There's Inventor. There's Confusion 360, as a friend of mine calls it.
But then there's Mesh Mixer, which I thought would do a lot of what you said, but I think it is actually more tedious to fix the mesh. What
did you say, Mesh Lab?
Mesh Mixer.
Oh, Mesh Mixer. Yeah, Mesh Lab, you need a PhD to learn just to run it, but it is useful for some things. Hang on, what's this? Ender 3 seems to be good. Oh, look at this. We got people sharing STLs already.
Nice.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm using that shroud, other than the fact that it does blow really well on the cooling block, is that unlike a lot of shrouds, because there's been like what's it called? It's not a Satsuma, that's an orange, but there's a Sat something shroud that's been making the rounds in the Ender group. It looks really good, but I don't want to print it because I can't get access to anything. It covers, it covers the block, covers the Bowden connector. I mean, if I get a clog, which I've been fighting because with this dual extrusion setup, I got to rip everything apart. I can't just get at that connector and just pop it off and get rid of it and start printing again. So that's what I look for in a shroud: a good cooling, but also access to everything.
Exactly.
And
the Hero Me had a pretty good design. You pull 2 screws and it kind of opened like a door, I figured, but I think that was the original Hero. I don't know, the Hero Me 2, or there's been so many, hang on. How many hot end shrouds do you guys remember? There was the Gorilla, right? There was the Twin Fang. There was the Hero Me. There's the Bullseye. What else are we talking? There's
Z19.
Yep, exactly.
Bingo.
So, yeah. Now I don't know, but I remember when I got my first printer. Oh man, my biggest mistake in 3D printing. My first printer was an Ultibots Delta Cossel 300.
You want to see a mistake? Keep talking.
No, don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful printer, right? Deltas are majestic. They're one of those things like, okay, I'm just gonna watch the first layer, and once the first layer, I'm going to bed. Oh look, it's 4 o'clock. Right, it's like that's what happens with Deltas, but they are. What's this? Oh man, is that like a ARM type 3D printer?
Yeah, see if I get it closer. There we go. It's an ARM, and it's a multi-machine.
Oh my goodness, it's a plotter.
Wow.
That actually worked. That was my first 3D printer. I made quite a few prints.
Oh wow. No, mine was a kit from Ultibots.
It was
And
never though. Oh, that
I
thing
was so excited when I printed the hot end had two 5015s
Yeah.
pointing straight at it. And this is before silicone jackets were a thing. This is before, like, I had just barely gotten past the point where the V6, I learned that the fan shroud had to be level with that bottom fin.
Yeah.
Right? And anybody who's ever messed that up is like, oh my, where are these clogs coming from? Yeah, that shroud just has to be one little fin lower. But then I got the 5015s. I'm like, okay, I'm going to print all the overhangs. This is going to be awesome. And I turned them on, and my hot end temp would just dive down. So, yeah, there is such a thing as two.
Did your prints go like this too?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I don't know.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
The worst. Yeah,
I switched to one. It took me a long time to bite the bullet, but I switched to the powder coat PEI sheets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a corner lift since.
You say powder coat. Is that different than a standard PEI?
It's a metal. It's like it feels like almost like a sandpaper surface.
Oh, I know what you mean. It's an industrial process where they put some sort of powder and then they.
Yes, I think they sputter something PI onto it, but it's fantastic. And you just kind of you take it off the printer, you flex a little bit, and it pops up.
I use standard PEI, so yeah, I know that's good, but I haven't heard of this powder version as well.
Somebody mentioned Tufnol. I think is something I've been hearing about that I know nothing about, but I've heard it before. Tufnol, Tufnol. I think, if I'm remembering, that was a very late night conversation, so I might not be remembering even the right letters. But
if you know something amusing about that robot arm, and one of the reasons actually that I kind of set it aside for a while, it has no Z home. You basically turn it on and hope that when the steppers engage, that it doesn't shift much.
And that's a hope and a prayer kind of situation.
If it does, you get out a piece of paper or your eyeball or whatever and just step it right before you start to print every single time. And like I said, it was really slow. The firmware was limited to 30 millimeters per second or something when I got it. And then they finally they increased some limits to get it up to 60 or something, but it was still never a fast machine. But it was fun. That's my attachment too, like this laser. I want to put this on my printer.
How big is it? How many watts?
I wish I could tell you. I don't think 40 sounds
bad. That I'm like, don't put that in drives.
40 sounds big, but I don't
think
40.
No, it wouldn't be 40. 40 needs water cooling.
Yeah.
I bought when I got that Kraken. My girlfriend got me a 3-watt El Cheapo, and like. Anybody who's ever bought something from a company called El Cheapo, right? And I have it sitting on my desk.
I didn't think you were being serious.
No, it's like it was called the El Cheapo laser, and it never had any bad reviews. I've just been terrified of putting on it because, like, hot end, you burn your finger, right? You're gonna have a scar for a couple days. Lasers, you can go blind, right? You got to take the safety dial and turn it to 11 and break it off.
Yeah, this came with goggles that I always wore. I've tested it a few times and it works. But yeah, I always wore the laser goggles, absolutely, and they wrap around pretty good.
And like, but the thing is, the ones that they send you aren't they will work, but they won't work for a direct shot. Like if you get a reflection, the goggles that they send you are not rated for the power. Rarely. And I know this because I bought the panels that are the proper filtering, and they're orange. But the glasses that they send you are green.
I've heard of glasses that don't even come close to the.
I don't know if I have it on here, but there's a picture a friend of mine sent me of the goggles that he got, and he got a reflection off of what did he have? Something, I think it was even like a Raspberry Pi, one of the top of the Ethernet or whatever. And there's a burn mark right in the middle of the glasses, and he's like, "Yeah, we're just gonna take that off the end of the machine right now." And then like next thing I know, he's got like the entire machine enclosed in like the 455 nanometer orange plastic. He's like, never again.
Wow. Yeah, that's scaring me. I really wanted a laser too. That's kind of the.
Oh no, they're great as long as they're done correctly and never in my house.
back on
That's do that in the garage. I've got some little ones. I don't want.
Back on topic of that arm though, with its total absence of Z-homing, is one of the reasons that I know everyone says, you see these problems in the groups, and there's always, at least one person, probably five, that says, oh, level your bed. This is totally, you're gonna have tons of problems. No, that arm told me you can have such variance as long as it sticks.
Yeah.
As long as it sticks on the bed.
Yeah.
99% of your problems with the bed are done if it sticks to the bed. And
Yeah.
once it starts rising, you're fine. Yeah, because that thing, I could never get it quite
Now
right.
there are some taller, skinny models that are at the risk of detaching later on in the print, and everybody's done that thing where you're like your printers. I don't know. I might be weird that I keep the printers in the living room or I keep them near the bedroom, and it could be 2 a.m. I could be dead asleep, but I know the sound of a print detaching from the bed. Something's wrong.
Absolutely. That is one of the nice things about the arm design, though, is that there is no, the bed doesn't move at all.
Yeah.
It's fixed.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can't see it here, but I have this steel plate. It's a 2 foot by 2 foot, 1/8-inch steel plate, and that's my build. That was my build plate for the robot arm. It just builds up. It doesn't move. It doesn't move at all.
Hang on. This John Cobb guy has been going on about stringing, and I think we should chip in on this because it's they mentioned Z-hop, and this is something that's a lot of debate on with when you're printing and you're trying to get rid of stringing with Z-hop. Hang on, you shake your head, but I say it's important.
I'd say leave it on unless it causes problems.
Yes. Now, there's a fact about Z-hop that not many people consider. So the problem with stringing is that you've got this nozzle coming up and it's got this goopy bit, and the goopy bit needs to be released before it goes. And if your Z-hop just goes and takes off, that doesn't give it. So if you're having problems with stringing and you think the Z-hop's going to help, dial back your Z-axis acceleration, like cut it in half. And then it just gives it doesn't extend it 10 seconds to do your Z-hop, but it does give it just that extra quarter second of time because it turns the nozzle into a hot wire cutter, and it just gives it a chance to melt it off. This is especially important with PETG, I find, right? Because PETG just strings like mad.
Did you just put an M92 in your start G code to do that for that print? That how you pretty much do it?
What do you mean for the adjusting the Z acceleration?
Yeah.
Oh, I use Clipper. I guess you use M201. 201 is acceleration. 201 is speed. Yeah. I don't know. Anybody who's learning, they get really into the hobby, start memorizing G codes because it's very, very handy.
It's very handy. Yeah. Stuff I was doing Z steps. That's Z.
Yeah. It's okay, M220. I'm slowing down the speed and get in there with a G91 or not a G91. Jeez, that was bad. M2 990.
I actually leave
steps.
Or just watching it go by, you can kind of visualize what's going on to some extent.
You know what the guy from the Matrix? He's staring at the screen with all the letters going by. You're looking at the G code go by. You're I know there's the layer height and there's the retraction.
Yeah. It does feel a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to not leave Z-hop on because of those issues, but. Yeah, once you get things dialed in, and especially with that all metal throat, that allows you to turn down retractions quite a bit. I was running 4.5 sometimes, and I'm running about 2 now with that throat. And I can do Z-hops all day long, and I can string. Doesn't matter.
And people think you need when I say Z-hop, I'm not talking 3 or 4 millimeters.
Oh no,
half a millimeter is enough to clear the previous layer, right? Because people get they just cut across, right? And yes,
especially supports, because they tend.
Yes. Oh, nothing's worse than printing a beautiful part and then ripping off the supports with the bad.
That's the worst. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yep.
But they're setting.
Hello, Brandon. My guy in October just stopped reading my SD card. Has this happened? No, I don't use SD cards.
The SD cards though that come with stock printers. People recommend that you maybe just try a different SD card, actually. I've seen a lot of advice. I've personally never had problems with mine, but I've seen a lot of advice on the groups that say, a lot of people have problems with SD cards. Just, go ahead and just get a different one and see if that works. Occasionally, the reader will die if you're rough with it. But
it's such
often
a
it's the card.
Cheap, easy thing to fix. I think most of us have extra ones lying around.
Yeah, exactly. You might just have one, yeah. And if you do, just try a different one. It's not gonna. I think what's the format on that? Is it Fat 30? What is that? Fat 32 on those cards?
Yeah, I think they have to be Fat 32.
Yeah, I think it's Fat 32 mostly. But then some of them have like some of them don't recognize USB 3. I've seen.
Yep.
But most of the time, if you format it right, you do the right size partition, it usually works.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I strongly recommend some, like if you've ever had problems with an SD card, Windows is terrible at partition management of portable drives.
It is.
So I keep a copy of MX Linux on a USB stick. And if I've ever got a corrupted, like I've corrupted portable hard drives, I've corrupted SD cards, I've corrupted USB sticks, you boot off the MX Linux, you go in there, you can recover the partition, and then reboot on back into Windows. The only reason I run Windows is because like SolidWorks, Simplify 3D, right? All these MATLAB are that's for
some of the software just needs. But yeah, actually, this laptop dual boots Linux. So speaking of which, yeah, I can do that at just about any time.
Yeah, I've got a dumb terminal that runs Windows, and then I've got a Pi pretty much that runs Linux.
Did you say
I'm super excited. I got one of the Pi 4s with the 8 gigabytes of RAM.
Yeah, I got a Pi 4
also. Oh, I'm excited about that.
It's pretty fast. It's
so
totally
you guys use Octoprint then instead of?
Yes.
I actually use Repetier.
Oh, Repetier, that's right.
You know what? I was running on a 3B Plus before this, and you can use Duet Web Control with Clipper on a Pi. And you don't need Octoprint. You can just use the Duet web interface, but it's too much for a 3B Plus. So I can't really speak to how much it was. Now, here's something that I found is interesting. Number one, you don't need Raspbian, right? Octoprint, the image that you download online it's just defaults with Raspbian, Buster Lite. But you can run Diet Pi. You can run. There's Ubuntu Server Core. You can run. There's a Manjaro version, ARM, that you can run. And, I know, I'm nerding out here. John's up there laughing at me, but...
No, I'm just saying that's for masochists, although I must be one myself, because my Clipper runs on this Linux server, Ubuntu 14, Intel server right here.
Nice.
That wasn't actually fun to set up. It's enough out of date that it was really a pain to get Clipper and Octoprint right on the thing. But it works great in the end. And I didn't want anything to slow down my Clipper machine, so I thought I'd throw a server at it.
I discovered that you can, with a single line in the config.txt, you can artificially limit the memory used by a Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to try out these OSs on a 1 gig, a 2 gig, a 4 gig, and the 8 gig Pi, and see if there's any difference in quality of life, like page load times. And yes, it'll reboot like that, but okay, that's helpful when you want to restart your system. But anybody who's tried to switch, like they tried to switch to the terminal and they accidentally went to the G-code viewer, they know what impact the RAM of the Raspberry Pi makes.
Yeah, it shoots up. Yep.
So John, you use Octoprint though, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You use Octoprint, right, John?
I have a couple instances.
Oh, I'm sorry. You said you said
printers that don't use it.
Never mind. You said.
Okay. I'm using Octoprint.
Do you find that you see any delays? Because I noticed, because I run Clipper here and Octoprint over there, and I do comparisons side by side on certain prints because they're both Ender 3s. And one of the reasons I really started liking Clipper is because I noticed Octoprint. You can lag it. You can lag that connection if you send it.
For sure.
Quick segments, and I mean, they don't have to do. You don't have to do some crazy model that has a curve that's broken up real wrongly. I'm sorry, that has too many segments. You can just go back and forth on Intel on something like a long, skinny, like French fry or something.
Yeah.
Big thing, and you can watch it. The Clipper will just.
Especially if you get like a Bezier curve that has a bunch of little tiny sections to it.
You don't even need that. You don't even need that. You just need something that'll do real fast skin moves or 100% infill, just back and forth. And you can watch that line. Octoprint will just choke at the end of that. Just start bogging down, delaying. Clipper will just run right through.
I've heard of some baud rate fixes you can do, but I don't know how effective they are.
I'm running 25 2,500 or whatever it is. Yeah, 250,000 on the
Oh, yeah,
Octoprint
already up
machine.
max, yeah.
250,000 bought on the Octoprint machine. Turned up.
But I don't think it's a baud rate with the controller that's the problem.
I've turned up everything. Buffers.
Oh, the buffer thing?
Man,
Did you know you can overclock the micro SD card reader on a Pi?
I'm sorry?
You can overclock the micro SD card
Wow.
reader.
Would that help?
It might if you're running into read-write problems, right? When you're
I think it's just that's serial though. It's reading it straight from serial.
I think it's serial.
Yeah.
okay.
Because I heard, it's not only the bot. I think someone said adjust the buffers too. But at that point,
I've
it's
turned
so
up
easy.
everything. There's 4 or 5 settings.
Turn
you
them
can
all
adjust.
up.
I've turned them all up.
I've heard
It's
that
still
too.
good. It's
I've
still
heard
good.
that.
But
It just has limitations. Yeah.
yeah, it does. Speaking of SD cards, though, you take that same print, the one that chokes Octoprint, you load it on an SD card, throw it in the machine,
No
Just
problem.
no problem.
Yeah, just start
So
away.
if you need to print, if you want to avoid that, if you suspect Octoprint of that, just put it on an SD card and compare. It's real easy.
Yeah, if I use Octoprint, I mostly just for like setting it up and stuff like that myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doing easy stuff. So, yeah. Doing E-steps, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, E-step calibration. There's a whole bag of worms we could talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, that's.
Absolutely.
But I gotta kind of go. I think.
Oh, no,
we're at an
okay.
hour, right?
What time are we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're right about there,
Huh?
aren't we?
Yeah, it's 12:06 a.m. here right now, so.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
But I love you three talking about the experience. Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a lot of people. Yeah, and a lot of people just learning here in. Yeah, I feel like
I'm mostly just listening.
yeah, me too.
well, it was really good to meet you guys in person, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's nice to put a voice to the name with the
Yeah,
Facebook
when you
page.
chat with people.
Can't
you
trust
gotta
that face to be real. But
And Rob, now I definitely have another person that I'm to bug with all my questions. So thanks for
be
sticking your
careful what you wish for, my friend.
And John, if you need that board, let me know. I've got.
Yeah,
I've
I'll
got
let you know. I'm gonna mess with it this weekend at the latest. Hopefully tonight or
All right.
tomorrow.
Sounds great.
All right.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right.
Well, it was a
Bye.
pleasure to see y'all. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye. Thank you. And thank you, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes. Thanks for your share.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Goodbye. Good night. Yeah. Wow. It's a lot of experience. Yes. For Brandon, I think you're new here. So for every day we have our live. Just click the follow with us. Yes. For the subscriber, then you will have the notice. For every day we will have the live poster earlier. So you can see that different topic or something that you might interested in. Yeah, for recently we most of the time we will do the live stream for the new printer. Yes, US Live doesn't have much Chinese comment. Yes. I also want to talk in Chinese when people maybe have some Chinese comment. Yes. Thank you so much and goodbye. Good night. Yes, maybe for some people have some problem and some questions for their printer and for the delivery, can contact us in our official Facebook page. Then, yes, we will help you to solve the problem. Thank you so much. Yes, yes, thank you, Brandon. Just subscribe. Yes. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye. Yes, bye, Corey. Yes, bye, Corey. It just hit 1 p.m. in Australia. Oh, lunchtime. Oh, nice. I don't respond. For what kinds of question is for your could be nice. You don't respond. Could be nice. You could use my printer. Bye, Chupos. we will try to, or maybe you can contact our Twitter or Instagram. That yeah, I will try to respond you for the questions. If you have some technical problem that we will have to spend a little bit more time to contact our technician. Thank you so much. See you next time. See you tomorrow. Bye.